Well, hey, welcome once again to In the Growth Space, where we discover new ways to grow our business, grow our teams, and grow ourselves. I'm your host and growth coach, David McGlennon. Each week I've been having some great discussions with leaders and authors and people that really have great stories of growth, and I've been learning from them. I've been learning so much from these conversations, and I really hope that you are too. And if you are, could you do me two small favors? Could you just go out and give us a 5-star rating and write a review about what you think of the podcast? It would really mean a lot to me so that we can continue to reach more people. Now, I've been able to get some time with some amazing people, and I have some really good conversations coming up as well over the next few weeks. I've got people like Mike Kim, Matt McWilliams, Melanie Texidor, Nikkei Anani from Africa. And you don't want to miss these, so be sure to go out and subscribe. Now, on today's episode, I'm talking with a business owner who really knows how to grow a company. He's the fourth child of Vietnamese immigrants to Canada. John Vuong is very familiar with hard work. He was born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and he worked from a young age to help his family while also having some pocket money to have some fun too. Now, John started his own SEO company, or search engine optimization company, 6 years ago in Toronto, Canada, after working in the corporate world for many years. We talk about personally growing and learning as one of the keys to being a successful business leader, as well as we talk about delegation and growing your team and being very intentional with your company culture. And that's my favorite. It's a wide-ranging conversation. So let's go ahead and just get into that right now. Well, John, welcome to the podcast. Really excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm honored, and it's going to be a lot of fun, David. Thanks for having me, and excited to share some insights with you and your audience members.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about your story, because I remember when we first talked, your story is so intriguing and interesting, especially as it relates to your own personal growth. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, maybe I'll go all the way back. Parents came from Vietnam after the war, and I was born a couple weeks later here in Canada, so an hour away from Toronto. And it was a great, for me, it was normal upbringing. Fourth child. And for us, we had each other. We had shelter, we had food, we lived in government housing. However, now that I look at it, we never really had birthday parties. We never had sleepovers. We never really traveled outside of Toronto once a year because we had this free pass of a festival called CNE that my parents got because of government housing, right? They didn't have a lot of funds. So for me, that was what we looked forward to once a year. That was our annual event. But we were great in terms of being able to live in the Western world and society and being brought up with the same access and tools and resources that everyone else has, education, and you can do the most if you're willing to put in the time, effort, and persevere, right, with grit. So what we did was, myself, I started working very young, 9 years old, newspaper, had 20 jobs before I went to university college. I worked a lot, right? And I was ultra curious because me, not having a lot, I had a lot of free time. I was trying to dream of a car, dream of a vacation, a plane ride, all these things I've never had, right? Experience. Yeah. So growing up, that was my upbringing. I went to university for business finance and opened myself up for opportunities, right? Understanding there's a lot of other people outside my little circle. And then when I first got into the business world of getting my first job, it was really in advertising sales. I was in advertising sales for 10 years.
Okay.
And I learned from the greatest, Zig Ziglar's, Brian Tracy's, all the Napoleon Hill, all the ones that inspired me at that time by absorbing audio tapes, books. And of course, I was in it, right? I was working every day, getting better, showing up early, leaving late, doing things that I needed to do to refine my skill set in the best abilities that I can humanly do, so that eventually I'd get a car and a home and all these things I've always dreamt of. So during that course of 10 years, I dabbled in traditional advertising, then online performance-based advertising sales, and then I worked at directory advertising sales. And if listeners don't remember Yellow Pages Group, I was there for 5 years in the sales realm. And it was one of the best sales experiences because they had it was the only unionized sales force in Canada at that time. Huh. And there were 2,000 sales reps across Canada. The training was 1 year probation.
Wow.
And it was a 7-week intensive onboarding process. So you got the cream of the crop sales training, just like how IBM was the best sales training back 20 years ago, right? And at that time, I learned a lot from the best sales reps I felt in Canada. And I was a part of that whole experience and learning from one of the greatest, that whole system that they built. To do it for 5 years, it really taught me how to grow and be a great salesperson, but also like human, right?
Yeah.
I met thousands of business owners over the course of those years. And all these meetings I had were successful in my eyes, business owners that understood what it meant to live a fulfilled life. And what that meant was, they wake up early, they do what they love, but they do it with a purpose. They do it with so much passion that they don't regret any moment because they're doing something so intentful that they love it, right? And not only that, they served a purpose in terms of their life, family mainly, community, and also valuing their customers. It was all local, right? It's like local, pizza shop, dentist, lawyer, whatever. They're all localized, but small, medium-sized business owners. And they're so passionate. They put their bread, their whole life on the line to serve the community. So I love dealing with them. And when I left at Yellow Pages, and the last couple of years were a little bit more challenging because people were spending less money than ever in advertising sales, in traditional advertising, and pivoting away to digital marketing. This Google world was happening. Social media was happening. And I wanted to either pivot to work at a bigger player like a Google, Facebook, or try something myself, right? With this now skill set of 10 years in advertising sales, being top 2% for many years at Yellow Pages, now I kind of knew how to sell. So I used that skill set to start this agency, not knowing anything about SEO, but knowing that I can sell. So I went out there, sold, got clients, and made sure that I had revenue to support a business. And from that, I then figured out how to do SEO. And it was like ground floor again on the new skill set that I need to learn. Just like how I learned sales, I now had to learn SEO. And it's been 8 years and I'm still learning. And I know there's great SEOers out there and I know I could be better. And so I'm always trying to learn from the best in different communities, going to conferences, read, absorb content, all the stuff that makes you confident in whatever skill set that you have and possess. And now I'm very confident to explain it to people about my journey and what it takes to actually do what you're passionate and you're meant to do, right? So 8 years of building now an agency from not knowing anything about SEO has brought a lot into like learning how to form a team, being a leader, making the impact, joining communities, like having fun along the way.
And so much. Thank you for sharing that because as I'm listening to your journey, the one thing that keeps coming out in your language, in your story, is that you're a learner. You're a lifelong learner. And for those of you who are listening and not watching this on YouTube, John is standing in front of his library, which, we off camera, we were starting to talk about all of the books that he's got on his shelves that I know that I've read. We've talked about, Who, Not How, Rocket Fuel, Traction, Think and Grow Rich, 5 a.m. Club, all of these great books. And so what I know about John is that because he's a reader, he's a leader, and he also has this growth mindset. And it's really one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on the show today. So thank you, John, for sharing your story and really that journey of growth. How important then is your personal growth affecting and impacting your business growth? Talk a little bit about the correlation there, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was I'm ultra curious, right? I'm trying to figure out, what does success mean? What does business ownership mean? What does
Yeah.
that bring you, right? And because I was lucky to then be able to work with thousands of business owners to know what it meant. And these people were 60, 70, 80-year-olds that were doing it for 10, 20, 50 years generationally, but they loved it. They still wake up every day with that burning desire to make a difference in that community, right?
Yeah.
And that's what brought me joy. Like, I connected to that and it resonated with me. So I wanted to serve them. I wanted to help them because there was a need there that they told me, right? So that's what my burning desire. Like, I always try to absorb from learning from others. Yes, if I don't know the answer, I'll pick up a book and I'll read, because someone invested a lot of time and effort in their own life journey to write a book that may take years to publish. And it's like a 20-year biography of their skill set. And you have to understand the effort it takes to write a book. And if you understand some of these authors that are famous than I, no matter who it is, they're putting everything on the line. That's what I mean about that, as well as all the business owners I've met with. They put in so many hours, not just 10, 20,000 hours, but their lifeline, right? Like, it's their blood, sweat, equity of everything they know is on the line. And they're serving that purpose of community, family, and purpose, right? And that's what life is about. So that growth of not just myself. I absorb content all the time. I'm always picking people's brain and asking questions because I'm curious. But I also want to serve others, right? I want to help them. I want to impact them. I want to give as much as I can, because that's really rewarding at this stage of my life.
Yeah. So that personal growth then really is the fuel for your business growth, because there's a passion there, is kind of what I'm hearing. And I think that there's a lot of business owners that feel that exact same way. And I know that when we talked a while ago, you talked about the community and the community aspect of your work and how, and you even alluded to it today, in the Yellow Pages part of your story, is that it was all local, obviously. I mean, the Yellow Pages, and for those of you who are not old enough to remember Yellow Pages, there was this big, thick book that would show up on your doorstep that was called the Yellow Pages. And it's this book we didn't have Google back then. We would go to these pages and we would look up. If we needed a plumber, we go to the P's and find the plumber. And what John was doing was selling advertising in that book. So with that out of the way, really, I mean, you having access to those business owners in a community was, I think, you shared with me, really key to how you felt about your own business, and really now using, the SEO and your marketing agency, you work with, I know, a lot of local businesses, but you also work with businesses that are outside your area. How important is community to you, and even to what you feel like it contributes to your business growth?
I mean, it's the heart of every city, neighborhood, and country, right? It's the lifeline for small, medium-sized businesses to offer up a product and service to serve their people, which are their valued customers. They're serving a community. Whatever it's Main Street, online, whatever it is, they're trying to serve their base or their tribe, right? Like people that want to buy their product and service. And therefore, if you have customers that are interested in your product and services, and you build that community around them where they see value, that they will continue coming back because you keep giving them more, or you personalize, customize, you give them such a good, warm feeling that they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to have that really personal relationship, and they can't, when I love my pizza every week, I go to my neighborhood pizza shop, right? Because I feel not only do they provide great great product, but they're so personable. They know me by first name. They love and they want to help because they ask about my family. Like,
that's great. Yeah.
It's great, right? That's what community is all about. And then you go to not just on business level, but the park, community center. any interest in hobby groups that you're a part of. Like, that's what it's all about, right? If you go to church or you go anywhere that has that sense of belonging, right? And people that are like-minded, following the same kind of routine, or people like, I have a young son, so we go to the park all the time and we talk to the parents that also support the social interaction, outdoor fresh air. I know it's, hard during this pandemic, but we're like-minded. We're a community, right? So that community harvest during this pandemic, and globally understanding, yes, you serve a small business owner or not, entrepreneur, you're still local in a sense that you shop probably 2 to 4 kilometer radius for everything you do, from food, groceries, to all the discretionary products and all the services that you need, from dental to hair to whatever. People still need to service their community. There's always businesses that serve that. And that's what molds that the cities that we see and live in today.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of business owners right now that maybe discount the idea of community, even when it's virtual, because there are communities that can be built even in a virtual world. Yeah, it's not the same as being, face to face, but that community is, you used a really key word, I think, and that's belonging. And I guess my curiosity is, like, how important is community tied to, or how is it tied to marketing? Because I know obviously this is your expertise. You have a marketing agency. So how is that tied together, that community, and how important is it to an organization's marketing?
It all boils down to your values, right? Core values. And if you have a mindset of building a strong business that supports your vision, and if you have a team, and if you're growing a team, and if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, depending if you're a solopreneur or you want to scale and get to 10, 20, 30 employees and X amount of revenue, 5X, 10X, it doesn't matter. You still need to have that vision. You need to understand who your ideal customers are, what is going on and how they purchase and who they hang out with, where do they reside, how they absorb content, what do they do for fun, right? That's how you get to learn about your people, right? And then you have your own people, which is internal staff, and you want to continue to harvest them with the skill sets and traits that you possess, or the gaps that you're missing out on, but you're also forming a team. And that's also something that's interesting to build and form, because you want to base it on your values.
Oh, yeah.
Once you start forming good values and, ethically, morally, whatever that means, and it's different based on the culture, the, different society, different region, whatever it may be, different persona that you want to go after. But understand, like, different people will do different things, and it's okay. You got to figure out what you want to do and own it, and be very proactive and intentful on what you want to do with your life, your purpose, your community, with your business, your team, the people you hang out with, your family, your friends. Every day should be really focused and intentful. And if you really focus on how to do it properly and own it, I mean, love every moment of it, so that you wake up every day knowing that you're servicing, making a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
Even though it might be one person, it's still a difference, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I've come to realize in the last many years of growing this business, and in life, really. Live with a purpose. Live with a sense of urgency of making a difference. And the more you give, the more you're going to receive when you least expect it.
Yeah, and for sure.
Great sense of reward when you are able to do that.
That's so true. That's so true. For those of you who are listening, I mean, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can at least hear this in John's voice. I mean, he is passionate, and he's passionate about what he does. And I absolutely love that. John, what are some things that have contributed to your success and your business growth? What are some things that you think of that if you could put, 1, 2, or 3 things together, what's been the biggest thing that's contributed to your success and your business?
I mean, I don't think it's one. I think it's a multitude of things that are, timing is one thing. Like you have to be aware and intentful and purposeful
Right.
at stages of your business. Like at the beginning, I was clueless in terms of how to run a business. Yes, I was good at sales. I didn't know anything about SEO. I made tons of mistakes because I had to go through the regret, failures, and mistakes to have these waves, right, in business. So I made, probably the first thing is going into business not knowing anything about SEO. I should have at least learned a little bit, but it also made me learn really quickly. So I don't know if that's a good mistake or not.
Yeah, sure.
But at least I jumped in and I took action, right? The second thing is hiring wrong. I took a lot of mistakes on hiring on skill set and not on personality and value. So I took a long time to figure out, and I hired so many wrong people early days because I need to fast track and learn about SEO as quickly as possible. So I made tons of mistakes because it didn't resonate personalities. And so that was also something that I had to learn. Right? And then learning how to delegate and let go. So when you're in the business, you're doing so many things and thinking you need to touch everything. So the sooner I removed myself on a lot of these minuscule tasks and responsibilities and roles and having other people own up to it and letting them make mistakes and letting them grow and delegating more, it allowed me to free up my time and enjoy what I was doing more. Because I own I love the growing aspect, learning, being more of a leader to help them evolve and grow as well. So you come to different stages in your life, in your business as well. And then now it's more about, making a difference by working on your business, right? Like looking at marketing growth plan, looking at how to amplify and different side projects, right? Like these things are exciting for me. And every stage in terms of that business growth has different ramifications, right? You got to devote and dedicate, and you have to be willing to pivot and grow along the way. If you're stuck on one stage and you're not willing to let go, then you're going to be in that stage for a very long time.
Right. One of the things that you just said, that contributed to your growth is delegation and learning to delegate. I see this as, I talk to a lot of leaders, and delegation can be a challenging skill. What did you learn about delegation that you think is really key? And like, how would you talk to leaders who are just beginning to learn to delegate? What was key for you to be successful in that skill?
Again, there's tons of books, there's a lot of blogs and videos, but the key is, what don't you like doing?
Okay.
And what stresses you out every time thinking about it and actually doing it? Because you're going to invest a lot of stressful time doing something that you hate doing.
Yeah.
So removing and acknowledging it first. And someone out there loves that task, loves that role of responsibility. You just have to go out there and seek that person out. Make sure that they're in alignment with your vision, your goal, your values, right? And the more you understand that, and the more you find people that resonate with you. And now we get a lot of internal referrals from employers, right? Like people that seek us out because they have a friend that works here or whatever, they know. And that's the greatest way to build a culture, right? Of people that actually know what you're about. Because you have friends or people that have actually living it and breathing it and seeing it, right? And seeing how happy they are. So it took time. It's a lot of mistakes. It didn't happen overnight. I still make mistakes every day, right? Yeah. It's okay. It's making sure that you're moving forward, right? And failing forward.
Talk about those making mistakes, because I think that I know that talking to leaders, so often we don't want to make mistakes. We want to be perfect. But what I'm hearing you say is that you were just diving in anyway, and almost, I may be putting words in your mouth, but almost like making mistakes on purpose. But it's just like you're just diving in and you knew you were going to make mistakes, but that was okay. So talk about that process and maybe even that mindset of saying that mistakes are okay because they're learning opportunities.
So I feel that sales skill, when I was harvesting it for 10 years, my thick skin is about rejection, right?
Yeah.
And objections on a daily basis and uncovering those opportunities. And it's okay to get rejected. every day. Like out of 100 phone calls, 99 of them were hangups. It's how do you approach that next call that might be a good one? And how do you stay positive and motivated, continue, persevering, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's how I take on this business too. Like, yes, there's going to be failures. Yes, there's going to be a lot of rejection handling. Yes, there's going to be mistakes. And hopefully it doesn't impact your business to fold, right? Hopefully you have a buffer. And hopefully you can accordingly. Hopefully you have some reserve in like a 6-month money situation is a big deciding factor, right? I bootstrap this business. It's okay. Like there's different strategies. You can VC fund, you can find financing. I mean, if it's your baby, you'll put the time and effort and do whatever it takes to make sure it works. And so therefore my blood, sweat, equity is in this business. And I understand what it takes to be, doing what you love and continually wanting to grow and get better. Now I'm at a stage that I want to continually grow my team so that they get better and become someone in their life, right? So you get to a different part in your stages of your business, right? Yeah, I'm evolving, but I also want to see them evolve. And that makes me want to feel so much more accountable. And it's so rewarding to see that they appreciate everything that you're trying to do, to see them achieve whatever their goals and aspirations are.
Yeah, John, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that you said related to mistakes was hiring some people for skills and maybe not, and I may be putting words in your mouth, but not for that cultural fit. And I think that that's so important. You just mentioned about culture and really having that as a component of your organization. And how important is that now to you to really drive your culture and really hire for that as opposed to just skills?
It's so critical. Last couple of years, we refined the process to ensure that whoever joins us are our tribe, are like us.
How do you do that? Like, what's your process to do that?
HR takes care of it. Our people takes care of it, right? They know us. They know me. They know the people. And I always say, use your gut. It's a gut check. And it's all about asking the right questions, giving situations, letting them know, like, when challenges happen, what do you do? How do you react? How do you solve problems? How do you be independent? How are you as a team player? Like these questions as a big company at Yellow Pages, I learned, right? By having a book of business, dealing with my own clients, and then dealing with corporate and business. And then I was fully accountable. So it was like a small business at Yellow Pages with a book of business.
Okay.
So it turned me in a sense that now I have something that I can work with, but starting from scratch without that backing of the brand and without that backing of like that whole systems and operating, people behind it. I had to cultivate and build it myself.
Yeah. I think that that's something that if there are leaders that are listening, talking about the building the culture and building it on purpose and intentionally, I think what you're just sharing is just, you're taking ownership for it. I think that there's a lot of leaders who miss that culture is their responsibility. And that's what I hear you saying, is that you took ownership for that. You took responsibility for that. And you put the things in place to be able to be very intentional with your culture.
And it's so important to understand your people, your team, your staff, probably more important than any of your clients. You take care of your people, they will take care of your clients. People do it the opposite, right? Where they take care of the clients and they don't really take care of the people. Well, for me, it's reverse, because I understand the importance of treating your people like family. And more so than ever, it's my responsibility to ensure that they have equipped training and well-versed on the process systems and hold themselves accountable, because I treat them like family and they have to treat the clients the way they feel that like they're the business owner, right? And the more you get that out of them and they feel it, they have a sense of, purpose, right? Like everyone owns up to it. And yes, it took years to harvest this, but it's the constant, habit, constant training, constant meetings, constant, wanting to serve them, understanding their goals, aspirations, and helping them get to that. And the more you actually fulfill their dreams, the more they trust you, the more they're going to give more to you, the more they're going to work 120% out of the 80% that most employees work. That's what it takes, right? You got to really take care of your people.
Yeah, I so love that, John. Taking care of your people, and then they'll take care of your customers. And I think that so often we get that wrong in the business world. I think it's changing. I mean, I really do. I think it's changing. People like Simon Sinek who, recognize that there's a different game to be played in the world of business, and it's really about just continuing the game and keeping, playing that infinite game as he talks about. And I think that what you're describing is really a model for all business owners to be able to follow. And that is take care of your people and help them to grow. I really, really love that. John, I want to be respectful of your time. What are a couple of things that you would love to be able to share about the things that you're doing that could help other businesses to really grow and to really make the most out of their organization? What are some things that maybe even that you help other organizations do through your marketing agency?
Yeah, so I started this agency just offering SEO services. So for the listeners that don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization.
Yeah.
If you have a website, which is probably the biggest asset piece for a lot of business owners today, I help you rank organically or naturally on that first page of Google and position you as a thought leader, a authoritative figure, and therefore you dominate for a lot of the keywords that people are seeking you out for, the products and services. So I deal with a lot of small, medium-sized businesses because that's my tribe, right? And it resonates with me. And that's all I've been doing for the last 8 years. And yes, I build websites, but most importantly, we're a boutique agency, full service to take care of every aspect that's important for that SEO campaign. And that includes everything from technical, web dev, web design and development, some of the content writing, blog services. We have videographers, images people, we have social media managers, link builders. We have everything to really do a proper SEO campaign. Because what I did was I brought what the big brands were doing, in-house, outsource, freelance, whatever, brought it to the small, medium-sized business owners and do it really well so that we can compete with any small, medium-sized business to market and dominate. So, and we're trying to offer it at a value prop that is lucrative for the small, medium-sized businesses because I feel that that's my champ. Like that's who I want to help more so than the big brands. They don't need more help, right? They're already making a lot of money for the wealthy and shareholders. So the small, medium guys are the ones that resonate with me. And for me, it's about just servicing good business owners, good humans that understand that they need help. They need some business presence. They need some help getting found. And they understand that online marketing piece is a weakness of theirs. Once they acknowledge it, once they've been in business for a while, that's them to figure out, right? Like I just want to serve them the best way we can because we have a really good track record. We have a good team and we enjoy what we're doing. And we really enjoy the new people because we vet them as much as they vet us to ensure that it's a good fit.
Sure.
So everyone who reaches out is going to be a good fit. It's more about making sure, just like you vet your team, they're going to be a good relationship partner that's going to be here for the long term. And that's what we've done for so many years, right? We've gotten better in terms of like the process. Getting good at asking and probing the right questions, fact finding, problem solving, all that stuff. And it's fun, right? Like as long as you continue enjoying what you're doing, and I'm still as passionate as I am when I first started the company. And people can see that, and my team can see it, and there's a lot of different projects. So yes, SEO is my big thing. We have a podcast, Local SEO Today. Been doing it for 2.5 years to educate, inform, very similar to you, David. Fun project. And then there's other things I'm working on, like I'm building a community. I'm also going to work on a video channel, like YouTube channel. I'm working on a book.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of little side projects, but it allows me because now I can free up time from all the other stuff that was on the business, right? Like now that I'm looking at marketing and growing, another aspect that I'm going to start working on is more presentations. Once things open up again,
Sure.
I might hire a coach to really focus on doing it well, the right way, all the time, right? And just like anything, like writing a book, there's great people that have already done it. Just hire someone that has done it, do it properly the first time, because that's what I've learned, right?
Yeah.
That's how people don't do it themselves. They just hire people that have already done it that can help them along the way.
Well, and to me, what I'm hearing through all of this conversation is really about that book that's over your left shoulder, Who Not How. You really have bought into having the ability to find the right person to delegate to and to really be able to allow them to do those tasks that only they can uniquely do. And then that allows you to be able to really live into your unique ability and do those things that only you are uniquely capable of.
Yeah, it's the freedom, right? And it's the lifestyle choice that you want to bring out of whatever goals you have, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has limitations. They have time restraints, they have financial system restraints. There's so many different limitations. You make the most of your life. We're very fortunate to be living in North America with choice.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of different nations out there that would love the opportunity just to be here.
Yeah.
To live in a place that there's no conflict or restriction or surveillance. Like us, we are free to do a lot of things. And therefore, you got to take it and do something with that choice.
Yeah.
Like my parents left Vietnam because of the war.
Yeah.
They're sacrificing the whole life for us.
Yeah.
And now I'm just trying to live the dream of what I think everyone is capable of here in North America, right?
Yeah.
So I always reflect. I always look at like different countries, and I look at like third world countries and different places, and I'm like, wow, how can I help those people? How can I make a difference in their lives? How can I, make even small difference, right? How can I make an impact, not just people here in this culture in North America, but those cultures in different nations? Because they're the ones suffering more than anything. And giving them an opportunity would be a great opportunity. So I mentor a lot of like new immigrants to get them more, abreast of how the culture and resources and access and letting them in on how things work here, which is different from different countries, right?
Yeah.
It's so rewarding for me to do that because it's like giving back.
Yeah, absolutely. John, thank you so much for sharing the time with me here and with our listeners in this episode, because you have such an energy that's about you and that quest for growth and that quest for learning that I just wanted to be able to share with my community and the listeners that tune into my podcast, because you're doing it, man. And you've built a company, you're growing your company, you've been able to really learn some things along the way. And I just love the lessons that you've learned and some of the things that you've shared. There's so much good in this conversation that I'm grateful for your coming onto this podcast.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, David. And one last thing.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the moment. So I know a lot of people are like rushing and trying to grow really fast, 10x, and do things as fast as possible. Slow down, live presently.
I love that.
The more you breathe, the more you meditate, the more you reflect, the more you actually live with a sense of understanding that your time is, restricted, right? So make the most of your time and put in the time and energy that feels, that you can do for that given time. Like if you're going to work, give it 8 hours of your best time and then live, which is if it's travel or hobbies, spend time with family, friends, go out, socialize. Do it presently. Go hang out. Go play, right?
Yeah.
Have fun. Like life, that's what life is, right? You gotta live life. I travel.
So good.
I hang out with friends. Business is great. I love taking care of my people. I love taking care of my clients, but I live this lifestyle that just having fun. What life is about.
Yeah, for sure, man. You embody the whole idea of, growth from a business perspective, growth from a team perspective, growth from an individual perspective. And really, that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on, because I wanted people to catch that enthusiasm and really hear that energy and that vibrancy. And you're so right, being in the moment and really living life, not necessarily living, into the future or living in the past or living, staring at a screen. But it's times like these when we're really connecting human to human, I think is so important. And so I'm really glad that you shared that, John. Where can people get a hold of you? How can we connect with you, especially if we want more information about, your marketing services, your SEO services? I'd love to be able to have you share that with the community.
Yeah, definitely. You can check out the website. It's www.localseosearch.ca.
Okay.
So based in Toronto, Canada. We also own the .com, but it's not as updated as the .com.
Yes.
And then we have our podcast, Local SEO Today. And it's a lot of fun because 2.5 years of just talking about, tips and tricks and helping business owners. And everything is about like making an impact, helping small business owners, get through some of the challenges, less mistakes, hopefully grow and inspire to be better, bigger, making an impact in people's lives.
Love it, John. Thanks again so much for being here, and appreciate your time and sharing your journey with us today.
Thanks a lot, David, for having me. Had a lot of fun.
Well, I hope that you got as much from that as I did. John really shared some gold in that conversation, and I'd love to hear from you what you took from it. I especially love hearing from business owners who are being intentional about developing their people and their culture. And if you know a business owner or a leader that you think that I should have on the show and share their story, please send me a note and send it to admin@davidmcglennon.com and tell me all about them. I'd love an introduction. Now, next week, we have on the show Melanie Texidor, who shares some really great tips and tools to grow a company and a team. Be sure to come back for that. But for now, remain in the growth space and be well.